Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Phonebox Contact. I'm going to leave it in. Please?
Hold it.
We were just talking about perimenopause. Okay, I'm going to start again. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Phonebox Contact. Of the Phonebox podcast with me, Emma Conway. What the hell just happened? Just talking about perimenopause, forgetting words. And yes, this is another episode where I talk about perimenopause. And I just really, really messed up the introduction. But welcome to the podcast. And Kelly, welcome to the podcast.
Hiya. Okay, thank you very much for having me.
It's wonderful to have a fellow perimenopausal woman. You're the age range we are looking for. Now, guys, if you are listening to this on like your streaming platforms, don't forget we are over on YouTube, so you can see our beautiful faces if you so wish to. We're looking hot. Kelly's in a bikini. I'm just naked. So come and check that out.
Yeah, definitely. Nice baps there, Ems, by the way.
Okay, Kelly, welcome to the Phonebox podcast. Where can the people find you?
People can find me on TikTok and Instagram under the handle Kids in the Commute.
And what kind of stuff do you do?
Parental comedy.
Yeah,
basically,
like skits. It's fun.
Skits, sketches, little sing-songs, poems every now and again. I think it's just about finding those absolutely ridiculous moments in parenting where we're pulling our hair out and actually finding the funny. I think we all need to find the funny and we all need to find the light in those dark moments. And that's basically what I try and do. It's very school-based as well. If you've got kids in primary school, especially those special busy times.
Those special, and there's a lot of busy times in primary school. I'm going to leave links to all of Kelly's stuff in the description box on YouTube and also on, you can find it in the bottom. If you go onto Spotify or whatever you're listening on, you can always go and click on the links to find the people in the podcast. Okay. Now, I just said how youthful and beautiful. In fact, I said, have you had Botox? You look that flipping good.
No. I tell you what, I think it's genetics.
Gorgeous. So what year were you 14?
I was 14 in 1996.
1996. So, Kelly, I'm going to ask you some questions because 1996 was a great year. We've had a few on here from 1996. And I want you to kind of guess. I'm going to be honest, I don't think you're going to guess any of these right. But I could be, I could be wrong.
Bring it. Let's have a go. See if my foggy brain can do this.
Okay. The top TV shows in 1996. Have a guess of some of them.
Oh, top TV shows. I would have thought things like EastEnders is in there.
Okay. EastEnders. What else?
I'm saying the Euro 96 final. It was the Euros in 96. I'm going to say Euro 96 final is in there.
That's number 8. England.
Only 8?
England v Germany, and you're going to be shook up at the stuff that is above the World Cup Euros final.
Okay, if I'm going to be shooketh, what 96? What was I watching in 96?
EastEnders is number 4.
Okay, I've got EastEnders as well. Okay, I'm going to go for Top of the Pops Christmas special.
No, but you know what? That should be number 1 because
Why is that not there? I was in the audience twice for Top of the Pops.
Who was on?
Louise Redknapp, and I think she was doing Naked. And I remember I showed up in a gold sequin boob tube, and I kid you not, her dancers were also wearing gold sequin boob tubes.
Oh, what? That's kismet. You should have got on the stage. Nobody would have noticed.
Oh, they would. Honest, my God, the security there is ridiculous. You absolutely can't do anything like that. I mean, I was petrified.
Who else
was such a good girl.
Louise, and who else?
I just remember Louise because I remember the gold boob tube incident. I can't remember anybody else. My brain is. I mean, we've discussed the perimenopause and how our brains are behaving at the moment.
I wanted to be Louise Redknapp so much
because of Jamie or because of the music or a little bit of both.
She actually, this is real like deep dive because I love my boy band. She actually was dating somebody from a boy band called Worlds Apart, who you might not remember. And I was very jealous of her. So from Louise Nerd, I've got a picture with me and all of Eternal. I'll try and find it.
Oh, she was Louise Nerding, wasn't she? For a while, of course she was.
So I was very envious of that. But we've got EastEnders number 4. Number 3, Casualty.
Behave. Really?
Number 2, Corrie. And number 1, Only Fools and Horses.
Fools and Horses. I nearly said Only Fools and Horses because that was the
Was it the Batman year?
No. It wasn't Batman year. Wasn't that the year when they became millionaires? That was the millionaire one
Maybe.
where they were. I swear to God, that was the millionaire one. I nearly said Only Fools and Horses.
So
Damn it!
I will put up on the screen on YouTube if it was that that was the episode, because the classic episodes were the Batman and Robin episodes.
Yes, obviously.
They became millionaires, and also when he leant on the bar and he
On the
went through the
bar and
bar.
fell through. Yeah. No, I think those were earlier. I think those. It's going to come up saying disclaimer. Kelly was absolutely wrong. She's talking crap. I
I miss
swear, but
Only
yeah.
Fools and Horses at Christmas. I can't.
I
Oh, I just love it so much.
but I
Okay,
just
but go on.
I do think they should. But I do, and I don't. I just think sometimes when they made the millionaires, controversial opinion, when they made the millionaires, leave it. Let them go off into the sunset and be millionaires. They then kept going, last ever episode, last ever episode. And it was like, oh, it's really sad. I felt like I'd said goodbye and I'd grieved. And then it was like, oh, actually, no, sorry, we're going to bring it back again. I was like, stop it.
Kelly, I
And then they were
don't
poor
remember
again.
anything past the millionaires. I don't remember them bringing it back.
They did, they did, they
Has
did.
my brain just gone
I made them.
shut down?
Yes, they brought another Christmas special and they made them poor again.
And
Spoiler
that's
alert,
how it
sorry everyone.
ended.
I can't remember
Spoiler
because
alert from
Emma,
20
they
years ago.
kept, yeah, exactly. I feel like that in my life because I forget so many things. Everything feels like a spoiler alert. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. No, they, I swear to God, they brought it back again. And I don't know, Emma, they've brought it back so many times now. I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Okay, we're going to keep it in the past. Where were you growing up when you were 14? You told me a little bit before we started the podcast. Sounds lovely.
I was in, I was near Macclesfield for most people. That's probably the nearest biggest town, Macclesfield. I was in a little town called Titherington, which is near Macclesfield in Cheshire. It's very lovely. It was
Oh,
very, yeah. I always say it was like Midsummer Murders without the murders.
oh,
It was
lovely.
nice. It was really nice. It was, yeah, just they were just pleasant. It was just, I really enjoyed it. Lovely people, and it was one of those where there was this massive road in our kind of town village, whatever you want to call it, and everyone basically lived on that road. And it was one of those where you get up at the weekends and you'd be off on your bikes at God knows what time in the morning after you've had your breakfast, and you disappear off for the entire day. Nobody knew where you were. No one probably cared either. And then you just come back for your tea. But you were playing on the rugby field, or you were playing a little bit by the river, or you gone round to your mate's house. But it was just this one massive road, and everyone was just in and out of each other's houses. Your parents found you by the fact that your bike was parked outside
Yeah,
that particular house. You always had to leave your bikes in the front garden so that your parents could see which house you
yeah.
were at. That was kind of,
I
yeah.
It sounds lovely, but what also sounded lovely to me then was that you used the word tea.
Oh, you have tea? Yeah, you
Because
go back for your tea.
you have your tea. You see, a lot of people online don't get they get very confused when I say you have your tea.
Oh, do you think we mean afternoon tea or
No,
something?
they
Like, in,
because we would say, well, I would say your breakfast, your dinner, your tea. But people say breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
oh, you see, I'm just going to throw a third one in. I say breakfast, lunch, and tea.
I'd say breakfast. So you're half posh.
I'm half posh. Which one's the posh one? Hang on, which one's the
People
posh?
don't say tea. People say your dinner. People
Yeah, and
say,
then and if you're super posh, after you say dinner, you say supper afterwards, don't you?
yeah, supper. No, we don't have supper in this house.
No, we don't.
Yeah, so tea. I've done like and ad campaigns online, and I've talked about, and people are like, "What should?" No, I did an ad campaign. It was for soup for dinner, and then they were confused because I was eating it at lunchtime. They were like, "When it's you're supposed to be having it later in the day," and I was like, "Yeah, but that's my tea."
So
Have
hang
I?
on a minute. Somebody says
No.
to you, Emma, do you fancy going out for dinner? You'd think it's lunchtime.
I would have thought it was lunchtime if I was talking to another brummie and they went, "Oh,
Right.
should we go out for at dinner time?" I'd think it was lunchtime because I'm on chronically online. I know that means six, half six at night now.
So do people invite you for brunch or brinner? Because I'm very confused by all of this now. Because you can't go for brunch then, because
Hang
brunch
on.
is the combination of breakfast and lunch, which is the middle
I live in
one.
Birmingham. Who's inviting me for brunch? We're not having
Why?
brunch in Birmingham.
Well, it's not like I'm tootling off for brunch every day. I'm just generalizing. Like you mash
No
the
one
two
would
together,
invite me
don't
for
you?
brunch. I don't think we'd have brunch. I don't think I've ever been invited for brunch unless it was from somebody who wasn't from Birmingham.
Right, Emma.
They'd
Next
say
time
maybe
you come to
breakfast.
London, should we go for some brinner?
Let's go for some
Should we go for
Brinner.
brinner?
Let's
We'll
go
go
for
for
some Brinner.
let's go for a bottomless brinner.
A Brinner, yeah. And
You
also,
a brinner.
I spell so in Birmingham we spell mom different. So I get a lot of criticism that my account is Brummy Mummy, but in
Hmm.
Birmingham that's not how we spell it. It's mommy, Mommy. They put it
That's the
in.
US spelling.
Yeah, which I did not know. You couldn't get any, so when I was younger, you couldn't get any cards with mom on. And I'd be like,
No,
why can't we get any cards with mom on? Everybody, your cards from your kids come back from your kids' school. Happy Mother's Day, mom, Mom. We spell it mom.
I did not know. Well, I feel
Yeah.
educated. Thank you very much. I did not know this. So my face goes,
And
what?
I do get a lot of DMs from the Brummies going, you mean mom? Mom in my phone, my mom in my phone is MOM, but I get a lot of, if I say mum, they're like, you mean mom? And they get any Brummies out there, let me know in the comments or, direct message me on the Phonebox podcast. But yeah, we say mom. Anyway,
I did not know any of
I'm
this.
very distracted. Your bedroom at 14, describe it to me. And did you have posters up? And if so, who were the posters of?
Oh, okay. So my bedroom I shared with my sister. And it was, I remember when we first decorated it, and the reason that's important is because that leads on to the poster question. I wasn't allowed to put posters on my bedroom wall because we had been to B&Q and we had gone and bought some very lovely wallpaper which had rainbows and clouds on it, and they were puffy clouds, so
Nice.
you could kind of
Oh,
push your I discovered you could push your fingernail
yeah.
in them and you could spell words and things. Mum was really happy that I did that, by the way, all over the new wallpaper. But I wasn't allowed to put posters up, but we were allowed to put posters in the inside of our wardrobe doors,
Secret
with
loves.
secret loves, with blue tack, not sellotape, because the sellotape could potentially pull off the
I'm on your mum's side with
stuff on the
that. I'm
wardrobe.
on
But
your
yeah,
mum's
I
side.
am now. Now I'm a mum, I'm on the side. But I can tell you then I wasn't particularly happy about it. As for my posters, I had the biggest crush on Dean Caine, New Adventures of Superman.
Kelly, you're the
I
first person.
brilliant.
You win. Here's an award. I'm handing it over to you. You're the first person to have mentioned Dean Caine on the
Okay.
podcast. And when somebody brings back something to my brain that I've not thought about since 1996,
Welcome.
I'm giving you that. Okay, Dean Caine. So did you prefer him as Superman or did you prefer him as Clark Kent? That's a tough
I
question.
mean, bit of both, really. I don't think I was fussy at that point. I was just slightly obsessed with him, to be honest. And I used to have a mag. Do you remember Big Magazine?
Of course.
Yeah, I had Big. All my posters came from Big Magazine, and they seemed to have a bit of a thing about Dean Caine as well. So every week there was a bit of I mean, there was always the Backstreet Boys, and there was this, and there was that, and there was the other. But to be fair, I did like the boy bands. Don't get me wrong, did fancy the boy bands. But for me, it was all about Dean Caine.
So the big
Um,
magazine, if anybody, can you remember? They had like the big poster. It would be like one
oh,
that would be like
huge.
four. It would be
Oh yeah,
four A4 pieces of paper
yep.
together,
Roll out,
and
roll
you could
out.
roll it out. So that of Dean Cain, I remember I had one of Jason Priestley, Luke Perry,
Nice.
and Brian Austin Green. Or I think they were all like kind of peeking around, something like that. Oh,
Of course, get the right layout. No, I
yeah. And
like
I
that. I
think I
like
also
that.
had one of Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher, which was it. So Dean
Did you?
Cain. What's Dean Cain up to? Is he alive? Has he been cancelled? Do you know?
He has okay. He has slightly been cancelled due
Oh,
to who he decided to vote for in the US, and was
oh,
very
Dean.
vocal. Dean, very vocal. And at that point, I was like, oh, oh. Do you know what I think it is? I think I've actually got a thing for Superman. I think I'm just going to call it out now. I've realised that because I moved very quickly from Dean Cain to Henry Cavill, and I've realised there is a little bit of a link there. I
I
think it's actually a
feel
Superman
that
thing. I think it's
has
a Superman
he
thing.
been cancelled as well? I
No, he
feel
hasn't been cancelled. Don't cancel Henry Cavill for me. He has not been cancelled. Emma,
okay.
please,
I
please,
am gonna sit on the fence because I feel like I've seen something about him as well. We can
please
all
don't
the only one
cancel
we can rely
Henry
on
Cavill.
is who is the original Superman? He was my
Christopher
fave.
Reeves. Christopher Reeves.
Hand down. He was
And
the
no one's going to beat Christopher Reeves. He is just he was Superman. Like it wasn't that he was playing Superman. He was Superman.
yeah.
End of, and everybody else has basically come along and been good, all right. Meh.
All
Brandon Ruff.
fit, all hot.
All fit. I mean, don't get me wrong, but also pretty. I
If there
think
was a
it's
knock
like,
at the
oh,
door, and
pretty.
I'm gonna discount Dean actually for his political opinions. Knock at the door
Yes, I can go now.
now, and Henry is at the door,
Yeah.
dressed as I'm gonna say Clark, because I
Okay.
find that more attractive. Would your heart flutter?
It would just be my heart, but yeah, yeah. I mean, The man gives me fizzy knickers. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't know what that's about. But
Okay.
no.
Well, we're on the same page.
And to be clear, my husband knows this well on. I mean, literally gets to the point where we watch things like The Witcher. He's like, "Oh, do you want to watch the program with your boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, can we watch The Witcher, please?"
Did
He
you ever
knows.
see
He
on
knows.
TikTok the dog that was obsessed with Henry Cavill and then it ended up going to the premiere? Oh, you must go later when you get off. There was a pug, I think, that was obsessed with The Witcher and had loads of pictures up of The Witcher and then it ended up at the Witcher premiere. It was very cute. Go and check that out. It was really
I'm
strange.
literally, as soon as this podcast finishes, I am going picking up the
Oh,
phone and going,
dog
"Dog,
obsessed with Henry
Witcher,
Cavill.
Henry
Okay.
Cavill,
So what kind of music were you listening to? What kind of music were you into?
pop." It was completely pop. It was also the Anton Deck era. Or was it PJ? I think it started as PJ and Duncan at first, didn't it? And
PJ and Duncan, yep.
then they moved when they're in the Biker Grove era. I love Biker Grove. And they moved from that to the Anton Deck era. And I had their album.
Of course
I
you did.
did. I used to listen to Stepping Stone. Would you know one
Oh.
ever seems to remember Stepping Stone?
I remember the Stepping Stone, and also I've got the Monkeys album, so it's an old Monkeys song, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But they covered quite a few of the Monkeys tracks actually. So yeah, I absolutely love that. I remember Stepping Stone. I loved their music. I genuinely did. I wasn't just jumping on the Let's Get Ready to Rumble kind of bandwagon. That might have what drew me in. But then I was like, no, I'm getting the album too. So I had that.
You're quite
Um,
passionate about you.
I love
You
it.
got quite passionate then about you wanted to be seen as like a real hardcore fan, but like of PJ and Duncan. You're like,
Yeah,
it wasn't just it was, I really
no,
rate their music.
no. I really, because you know what? I remember dancing around in my bedroom, singing to it. Honestly, I absolutely loved it. The thing is, if I loved a band back then, I loved a band. It became a thing. And obviously you can't not talk about 96 without mentioning the Spice Girls.
They
That
were
for me,
brilliant.
I mean, God, I grew up in a very, I'm going to get told off for this saying a very northern household. It was very jobs for the girls, jobs for the boys.
Oh,
It was,
right.
and then when you have five incredible women coming out and talking about girl power, I was like, hang on a minute, hang on, this is quite exciting. I loved their music. I loved everything about them. They would come on the radio, it would lift my mood. They were just an absolute force to be reckoned with. And even now, 42, I love them. Absolutely adore
Who's your
them.
fave?
Gone through phases. Um, Victoria will always be one of my faves because I am a staunch Man United fan.
Okay.
I didn't like her at first when I found out. If I will admit this now for the first time publicly, when I discovered that Victoria and David were engaged, I may have cried.
Oh,
Um,
why? Because you thought it was going to be you.
I genuinely, Emma,
Mm.
I thought it was going to be me. I was a massive Man United fan, always went to Old Trafford. I was obsessed with David Beckham. I had his 24 shirt. I always kind of I felt he was mine because I knew him before everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. I was
Yeah.
like, no, no, what is this? Everyone's saying, oh, have you heard about this David Beckham? I heard about him. I'm obsessed with him for years.
There's still
And
time. Divorces happen.
I kind of like the one I've got, to be honest. I think
Oh,
I'll
oh well,
keep
you know
him.
what? Hang on, this is a positive. You're rejecting David Beckham. That's how I see
Oh,
this.
okay. I like that. Let's go with that narrative. Let's go with that. In my warped head. Let's go with that
Yeah.
narrative. I've rejected David Beckham. But the thing is, we didn't live that far from them either. I think that was what it was. So we really weren't too far from them. So you know, we kind of lived in kind of footballer county. That was
Ooh,
where it was
posh.
in Cheshire. So everyone, your kind of aspirations were travel agent or footballer's wife. That was kind of
Yeah.
your two career points, really. And I was obsessed. I was convinced I was going to become a footballer's wife. More importantly, I was going to become David Beckham's wife. That was never going to happen. I realize that now. I've had that,
Even when he
light bulb
wore us the
moment.
wrong, did you still like him when he wore us the wrong?
Yeah, I did. I did. Because the other thing we'll probably come into is the kind of things we were into, the fashion side of things that we were into. And I liked I like people who tried to break the mold. I always thought it was really fascinating when people kind of went their own way. And I really I even liked it when Britney and Justin Timberlake did the double
Double
denim. Do you know
denim.
what I mean? Like that was it. I was like, no, I respect you. I respect you for doing that. I respect Britney for making him do that, quite frankly, because we all know it
Well,
wasn't Justin.
Justin, we spit on your name now. Justin, if you're listening,
We do now.
turn off. I don't want to. I'm happy to lose you as a listener. But if you wanted to come on the
Exactly.
podcast, I'd probably
Yeah.
still.
I need to remember to record it as well, which would be really clever.
I have forgotten to record a couple of podcasts. Right. So let's talk about fashion. I want to hear
Yes,
your
yes.
fashion faux pas and what you loved wearing that you'd wear now.
They're the same thing. They're the same thing.
Oh.
Yes. So I say fashion faux pas because I had the most beautiful, Emma, black velvet,
Oh.
glittery waistcoat. It was a thing of utter beauty. I mean, I look back now and I look a bit like a snooker player, but I absolutely loved it.
What was
And I
it
remember I
paired
turned up
with? What was it paired with first?
white shirt, obvs, white shirt.
Oh my God, it's giving magician.
Yeah, I mean, it gave magician, it gave snooker player, it gave absolutely everything. But my God, did I love,
Of
and it was from Tammy Girl, so
course,
it was
Eton Tammy
cool.
girl.
It was cool. And I remember I turned up to my mate's house. We were going to a party. I say a party in loose terms. I was 14.
Mm.
And I got my waistcoat and I got dressed. Got my white blouse on. Can't remember, probably a skirt or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. And I put on my waistcoat. And my mate Claire, I still remember this, turned around to me and went, "You're not going in that, are you?" And I was like, "What's wrong with this?" And then my other mates who were there turned around and were like, "No, no, you're no." I mean, they were also laughing. They're like, "You're not wearing that." And I was obsessed with this waistcoat. Like, there's no way in God's green earth you're wearing that. Not a chance. And I wasn't allowed to wear it to the party because they said
Haters?
that that's an embarrassment. That is an embarrassment. You are not wearing that. And
Well,
that's kind of my whole narrative with fashion. I would find items that I absolutely adored, and I didn't care what anyone thought until they told me what they thought, and then I kind of bowed down to them. I was like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to wear that. Oh, okay, fair enough."
I feel a waistcoat now. People wear waistcoats without anything underneath. You'd rock that now.
Oh, I would. I absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest. I wouldn't ever wear it without anything underneath because no one wants to see that. But
You could get away with it.
I want that waistcoat again. But but that's the person I am now. I will wear bright clothes and glittery
Yeah.
clothes and stuff that makes me feel, have what they call it, dopamine dressing. I was
Mm.
very much dopamine dressing when I was 14, but I was a little bit ahead of my time there because you weren't supposed to dopamine dress when you were 14. You were supposed to fit in with everybody else.
Yeah.
God forbid you stand out, and you were supposed to kind of toe the line. It was supposed to be very kind of like what your mates were wearing and what the cool kids
It
were wearing.
wasn't
You
a
were not
colourful
supposed to.
era, really, was it? I seem to
No,
remember
it
a lot of
wasn't.
like beiges, muted
Cargo pants. It
colours.
was because it like was All Saints as well, wasn't it? Like around
Oh,
that time.
yeah, like a
So
white
we're
vest top.
talking white vest top and like your khaki pants and that kind of stuff. That was what you were
Or
wearing. Because also
Natalie
it was.
Imbruglia with a hoodie and a jeans and a little short hair. Oh, you got quite similar hair as well, if it was just a little bit
I've just realised
shorter.
that now you're saying that. I
Yeah,
know. I think I'm embodying Natalie Imbruglia right now with
20s.
my in her torn era.
There was colour
Um,
with Naf Naf and United Colours of Benetton, but I didn't have enough money for either of those brands.
no, no, neither did I. And if we were even to shop in something like River Island, it or Cookeye, going really posh. Though that was Christmas time only, and even then you were allowed to choose a top and a skirt or something like that. You wouldn't, or a dress. It was
Yeah,
never
Kukai
like
was a lot of black and white
full.
as well, I think. And
It
Morgan was
was,
a
but it
lot
was
of
like,
black and white.
oh, Morgan, I loved Morgan. But all you wanted, let's be frank, all we really wanted were the plastic bags. That when we had PE, you could go in with your really cool plastic bag, and you could be like, "Oh, it's my River Island plastic bag," or "Here's my Kukai plastic bag with my
Your
PE
Morgan
kit
and
in,"
your
because
Kukai
I'm really
plastic
cool.
bags. Yeah, or I have mentioned this before, but not many people seem to. Do you remember like they were, I would have called them a record bag. They were like a black kind of like school bag, and it would have like Morgan on it or Kukai.
I did because I had one. I had the Kukai one because I remember the oh my God, I remember the almost like the bubble writing on the bag because Kukai used to do
Yeah,
the bubble writing, didn't it? And it was kind of squishy, another squishy thing that you could have.
yeah. The only thing I ever had from there was I got a prom dress. It wasn't any kind of prom dress. It was just a black and white dress, and I wore it with no bra. Imagine doing that now. Jeez
Oh God, no.
Louise.
Be on my
Couldn't
knees,
couldn't
kicking
ever.
them.
I just kicking them as you go in,
What?
like dancing with
Be
your
like
prom date.
keepy uppies. Yeah,
Yeah.
keepy uppies with my
No,
boobs.
no
No.
bra. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, it looked great. If I could go back just one day, just wear that outfit down on the
Yeah, but
school
you would
run.
you go back, wouldn't you? I mean, I look back at how insecure I was about how I looked and what I wore and all of that. And I just want to go back and gently give myself a bit of a slap. It's like, what were you
Yeah, I had
thinking? You were
one.
beautiful and you had everything.
I had a boyfriend. My first boyfriend said, "Oh, your belly's like a squishy cushion or something," and I was like, and then I just did like 250 sit-ups every night for about, for about a year.
But
And there
isn't
was,
it daft?
I know,
You look back, I think also our era then had a lot to answer for because as a 14-year-old, I was a sensible Sally, but I was also incredibly dramatic. And that was absolutely about all the TV I was watching, all the I don't see
mm.
Dawson's Creek back in 96. Was Dawson's Creek
I feel like
96?
Dawson's
Was
Creek
that
might be a little bit older, but I
a bit like
recently started to rewatch it with my daughter and stopped because it's so desperately inappropriate.
My So-Called Life was definitely around that time because I
Yeah,
remember
I've
I had a
got.
TV in
I
my
don't know if
room.
you can. Hang on. I've got that. You can't let me get it. I've got the DVD here.
I loved My So-Called Life. Oh, Emma, can I come round to your house and watch it? Oh, Claire Danes, you goddess on earth. Oh, I love it. I
Yeah,
absolutely
my
love My
sister
So-Called
bought
Life.
me My So-Called Life, and it's a tragedy because there was only ever one season, and you never ever got.
Hey.
Yeah, there was only ever one. Oh
Oh
God, I
my
thought there was some
God.
sort of poster in there. Then I was going to have like a Jared Leto poster, but he also is a bit strange, isn't he? There was only ever
Yeah.
one season, so there was 19 episodes, and we never really knew what happened. That was it.
Oh, in my head, they absolutely got together and stayed together and are married now with children. In my head,
He was so gorgeous, wasn't he?
I think that might have been my awakening, to be honest, watching things like My So-Called Life. I think
Him in
I
a
remember getting
lumberjack shirt. Oh,
oh him in anything,
lovely.
Emma. I mean him in anything. I mean, I remember I got a TV in my room and it was almost like God, you remember Eurotrash? That's probably
Oh God, yeah, yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
of course. The
yeah,
boobies.
but that was kind
Woo!
of around the same. I know that was kind of in the era as well, but I think it was more like it felt like I was almost watching an episode I shouldn't be watching. No, I was watching My So-Called Life because if you think back, actually, that was pretty inappropriate as well. Actually, if I
Well,
look at some of
it's
the
yeah, it
themes and
says it's a
topics in that,
12, but I
give over.
feel I feel that
I feel it was quite sexualized in some places. Like I look back now and go, oh, I'm not quite sure. I should technically have been watching that, unless I'm remembering it completely differently, and that's
no, I think you're right.
absolutely
And what I
possible.
did really like about it, it was kind of like my first introduction to like a gay character.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think, I mean, I loved it. I loved it. It was an absolute education in so many ways. But I think the reason I think the TV back then did us dirty was because it seemed, especially with girls, it was either you needed to be popular and cool, you weren't allowed to be different. I think My So-Called Life was slightly different because it allowed you to be different, whereas all the other ones were very clueless-esque. They were very kind of like you had to be blonde and pretty and popular, and in order to be popular you had to be attractive to boys, and I think that goes back to this whole need as a 14-year-old girl to be fancied or to have a boyfriend, and just because that was where my self-worth sat, because I was watching all these programs where all the popular girls who've got friends and were the what everyone wanted to be, they were always fancied and they always had boyfriends. I'm like, well, then I need a boyfriend because that's what you do, right?
Yeah,
And that's
like
why I wanted to be
Saved
a
by the
footballer's
Bell.
wife.
Saved by
Yeah,
the Bell with
all of that,
Kelly, yeah.
all of that. You couldn't just be yourself and wear what you wanted and do what you wanted, which again I think is why I like My So-Called Life so much. It was like there was finally a main character that
Do you know what?
was
I might
different.
rewatch it with because I my daughter,
You should.
so she's just turned 14, but she spoke to me a couple of weeks ago and she went, Mummy, we watched Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. And she said,
Mm.
when he came on screen, all the girls screamed.
But yeah, but that oh my god, that was around that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
universal experience. And we actually went to an event recently, and one of the people who works for Disney was, I mean, we were just having a chat. Who would you like to interview? Well, to the kids or whatever, I don't know. And
Yeah.
Erin was like, Leonardo DiCaprio. And me and this girl both went, no, we're not letting you anywhere.
No. For so many reasons now.
No.
No.
But she went, no, no, specifically in Romeo and Juliet. And I was like, right, okay. So I may introduce Erin to, because it's a 12 and she's 14, to Jared Leto in My So-Called Life.
Isn't it? But the thing is, right, all the blokes we've spoken about that we were obsessed with pretty much when we were younger, they've all been cancelled or should have been cancelled because you've now found out about them and you're just like, because do you know what? I mean, I know you're a massive Take That fan. I know that. And again, it was like the Robbie documentary when I watched that. It broke me. It broke me in so many ways because just thinking about how obsessed I was with them and how incredible they are but how much fun I thought they were having, like how much I wanted
Terrible
to
time.
be them. And now, I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but I know the BBC's brought out the boy band documentary, which I've not watched yet, and I know that's going to break me as well.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's awful. So if you don't know what we're talking about, on the BBC, there's it's on iPlayer, there's three stories. It's like a boy band. You've got Robbie Williams is on it,
Five are on
911,
there.
Westlife, yeah, Five, a couple of other smaller bands, basically just saying
Mm.
how they had the most horrendous
It
time.
sounds awful. Like I heard an extract from Sean from Five talking, and he said he was literally having a panic attack.
Mm,
He didn't want to go on. He didn't want to go on anymore. He was at the lowest he could be. And Robbie Williams actually came up to him and was like, "Mate, you all right?" And he said, "I
yeah,
don't even think I answered him because there was this incredible person. But he didn't realize what struggles that Robbie Williams was having at the time. No one was allowed to talk to each other. No one.
no,
Everyone was supposed to. They were living the dream, but they was being told to sell the dream, I think, by these massive music moguls, was like, sell the dream, sell the dream, sell the dream. So us as being 14 and being really impressionable, you're looking going, that's the dream.
yeah.
That's what you want to be. You want to be adored by people and everyone doing things for you. And now all of a sudden the stories are coming out. And I'm like,
It's
oh my
so they were
God.
so manipulated and they were so used, and it was. Yeah, it was a real shame, but they all seem to have like come back to it. So like 911, when you watch it, they're really huge. I don't know if it's Malaysia, but they're still massively popular in
Really?
another country, like huge, like views and everything. It's really strange. But they've all come. I
Really
mean,
glad about that.
obviously I love Take That, but I've not seen the Williams film, but I'll definitely be going to see the Robbie Williams film. Have you seen it
Yeah,
advertising? He's played by a chimp.
I did because I went to see Wicked, and apparently this was the trailer that was played before Wicked, and everyone saw it. And I was like, it's either genius or it's going to crash and burn. And I'm not quite sure which one of those it's going to be, but it's
I
getting quite good reviews.
I saw on the news, and by the news, whenever I reference I saw on the news, I mean TikTok. So let's
Yes,
just
of course, because that
embrace.
is the news. Yeah, yeah.
I saw on the news one of my favorite Real Housewives of New York. So this is getting even more
This is better. Go on, keep
even
going, keep
more
going.
unreliable.
I'm not judging,
She
but keep going.
she went to see. She said I went to see this film the other day, and it my friend said come and see it, and it's got Robbie Williams in, and she went on. She didn't know who Robbie Williams was, and she said it was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. It was
Oh, really? Oh,
absolutely
okay, good.
amazing, yeah. And that she said she cried, and then the lights came on, and Robbie Williams was sat next to her. I thought, flipping heck, man, I hope that happens to me when I go. I feel like, what?
I know. Is that what we all get? Because that would be
Is that
awesome.
part of the experience? So yeah, I hope. Anyway, we're being distracted. Fashion faux pas we've touched on.
Sorry,
Right.
fashion profiles. Yeah, yeah.
I want to talk first snog.
Oh, now first snog, I was pretty early for my
Oh,
first snog. I think I was 10, actually. I know. I think I was about 10. I was in primary school, first snog.
like with tongues.
Oh God, I can't remember that far back. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, it was then another 3 or 4 years before I had another one. But I think so. I think so. I was pretty early on the snogs. It was all those dare things that you were doing, and I had a boyfriend when I was 10. A boyfriend at
Okay.
10. I mean, as you do, as you do. Um, but there was someone at school that I wanted to snog who didn't want to snog me, and it was unrequited love. And again, actually, I think I like the unrequited love bit because again, everything had to be dramatic. Nothing could ever be just straightforward and happy and lovely. No, it had to be
Did he
dramatic.
have floppy hair? Because a lot of
He had blonde floppy hair, Emma, and he had
yeah,
bright blue
of
eyes,
course he did.
and he
Yeah,
looked a
yeah, of
little bit like Nick Carter from Backstreet Boys, and that
course.
kind of was my type. Yeah, that was my type, and I was kind of obsessed with him. If I remember once, I mean, I'm talking years obsession. I'm talking from the moment I saw him in year seven up until like probably year 11, actually, maybe going into year 11. This was a proper obsession. And I remember I was about to go into science class and you had to walk up some stairs. And I've been trying to, I'm about year 9, so I've kind of been around 14 actually.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to ask him out. And I remember I walked past him on the stairs because he was in a different science class to me. And I walked down the
Mm.
stairs and I was just like, do you know what? I'm feeling confident today, Emma. I'm going to go and ask him out. And I remember going up and I was like, hi, so I just wondered if you'd like to go out with me. And he just looked at me and just went, thanks, but no thanks. And the funny thing is, Emma, I look back thinking at least he was polite. I genuinely
He
thought
was the bare minimum. At least he didn't.
he was, yeah. I thought he said thanks, but no thanks. I was like, well, at least he was polite about it.
Okay, so
And I
he
was
was
just like,
like, that was it? Okay, there's two different scenarios. Was it
should I be
thanks,
lying
but
down? Am I on a therapist's couch now?
was
Go
it
on,
was
Emma.
it
Therapy
thank
me.
thanks but no thanks, or was it thanks but no thanks? Which way
No,
was it?
absolutely the first one. It was absolutely the first one. Absolutely the first one. I look back now, and there's no doubt in my brain. It was the go away. Like, thanks, but no thanks.
Oh no, what was his name? I
It's
imagine
fine.
it to be like a Mark, or like that was a real
No,
90s name, or a Darren.
I'm gonna give him his full name now. It should be quite funny. It was David Cooper. I was obsessed with the guy.
David is a classic 90s name.
It was a David. It was a David. I was
Wonder what he's up
absolutely
to. Do you
obsessed.
know what he's up
No
to?
idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. Um, but no, I was obsessed. Like, the problem is, I think I tended to get fixated on things, not just people,
Mm.
but things. Um, and he just happened to be that person that I was obsessed
We've
with. And the
all
more the more he the more I was rejected, Emma, because I loved the drama. I loved the
the
drama. The more I was
yearning.
rejected, the yearning, the unrequited love.
So,
I the more I got suckered in, to be honest, and so it just continued. It was ridiculous when I look
did it
back.
stop after the rejection, or did it just carry on?
Of course, it didn't stop after the rejection. This was an eternal flame, Emma, that just carried on
I
burning.
wonder what
The
he's up
more I was
to now. I
rejected,
wonder if he ever
I don't know.
like he's scrolling and he sees one of your reels or something.
I don't know. I think I look very different to how I look back
Oh,
then. But then someone
okay.
might go, "No, you don't. You look exactly the same. Stop being weird." I don't know. I finally got back to my original hair color actually, so maybe I do look a bit more different now. Similar now. Brain's not working.
I look exactly
Um,
this. I look like this. I've looked like the same since I came out the womb. So I think people are just like, I do wonder what what they might think if they scroll and they see me braless in my dressing gown with Marmite down the front.
I
It's not
think they'd be
really
proud of you. I think
okay.
the
Do you
thing
know
is,
what?
I
We'll
think
take that.
they'd be proud of you. I think they'd be proud of you, and I think I know I've had people actually message me back from my school days, just saying, "Oh my God, I just got
Nice.
sent like a reel of yours via our WhatsApp. I didn't know this is what you were doing. This is amazing." And actually, it's little boosts like that. They go, "Actually, yeah," because as we were saying earlier before we started recording, content creator just wasn't a job back then. It didn't
No.
exist, and we're now doing a job that didn't exist. And I like it when I get little messages, but it's actually really quite nice when you get chatting to people that you've not seen in donkey's years. And it's lovely to find out what they're getting up to, and find out if people did end up with that person you were convinced they were going to end up with. Because a lot
David
of my
Cooper,
friends,
what are you doing?
I know it's so funny, isn't it? Looking back. But yeah, he was my blonde haired, blue eyed obsession.
There's unrequited love. It's a rite of passage. It makes us
It
who
is.
we are today.
Oh,
Everybody
it
has
does. It
it.
does. And I had to, you cry by the window. You'd wait till it rained, and then you'd run up to the window, and you just kind of like,
Like Friends,
remember the,
David.
oh my God, do you know what it was? Do you remember that Kate Winslet song that she brought out for Christmas? What if I had never let you go? It's one of those where you kind of like put your face up against the window and be like, oh my God, what
Kelly,
day
that
of love?
singing was really good.
It wasn't.
Yes,
But
it
it was just
was.
but it was one of those. It was one of those moments where I was up against a window,
Just up
just having a
against the
moment.
window, looking
Has
out.
to be raining though. If it's sunny, I mean, for a start, you're going to
Yeah,
get blinded
raining
by
on
it.
a
But
winter's night, a
raining
little
on a
bit
window,
dark.
a little bit dark,
Yeah.
crying at your window, looking out, seeing your neighbour going to the loo, that kind
And
of
then,
thing.
then,
Yeah,
and
it's
then you unrequited love really is just doing he's just watching the telly at home with his mom, not giving a second thought.
yes, but you say that. Do you remember like every time the phone would ring? If the phone would ring in the hallway.
Mm,
Yeah, because you didn't have mobile phones back then, did
no.
you? And the
Nope.
phone would ring in the hallway, and you'd be like, "Could it be for me? Is it a boy? Are they calling me?" No, no, it's
No,
not.
I don't
It's
think
your
a boy
auntie
ever
Joan.
called
But the
me.
point, no. Oh, boys called me. Boys called me. But then it was like I know I did get boys calling me. Yeah, I did. Never the ones I wanted though.
No.
But they would call me. But yeah, that was the thing, wasn't it? Like you'd have to have private conversations in your flipping hallway with your
Sat on
entire
the
family
stairs,
listening.
yeah, as your mum's coming
Always
up,
sat on the
going, trying to take
stairs.
the trying to put the washing away. What's trying to, and you go, I'm just trying to get past. Or she's
Yeah,
like,
no,
Mum, I
no.
used to
See,
brush the stairs. I'm like, yourself on the phone.
because she's trying to listen to your conversation. All of a sudden, it's like you've had all day, and you've literally waited for the moment I'm on the flipping phone. Or my favourite was when you heard the click because someone had lifted the
Yeah.
phone upstairs, and you were like, "Get off the phone!
It would always be my
I'm on a
sister. I'd be
private
like, it's my
conversation."
turn. What was your biggest success from your teenage years, do you think?
God, biggest success in what way? Oh, I don't know.
Okay, it can be something stupid. We've had people who I got to be in drama. We had people who drank
Oh, I
loads of
see.
alcohol. We had people
Oh
snog
God, no, I
somebody
didn't do
particularly
that.
fit. So something that you just look back and you go, do you know what? That was great.
Yes. Do you know what? I had a she's all that moment. I actually had my she's all that moment, and I will never forget it. I was, it might not come as a surprise to most people, I was in an amateur dramatics when I was younger. I was. And I'd not done it, I think, for one particular year. So I'd kind of skipped a year for whatever reason. And there was kind of like a get together reunion thing, and I've been invited along, so I was going to join again. And I remember I got there and there was no one there that I knew. So I thought, oh, this is a bit weird. My friends aren't here yet. I'm just going to sit on the side and just kind of wait. And then there was this guy that I kind of also really fancied. And he came up and he was just like, I'm really sorry, but see me started, who are you? And I was like, Scott, it's me, Kelly. And he just went, oh my God, you look so different. And then all of a sudden I was cool. And that was my that is probably my proudest moment. That was my she's all that moment. Sat there, and the boy that I fancied, another one, there's quite a few, um, came and asked me who I
Did
was because he didn't
did
recognise me.
did it go any further?
No, Emma, I thought I was a good girl. No, it didn't.
But it could have done.
I mean, maybe in my head. But the thing is,
In
I was such a good girl. I didn't even think about like I might have thought about kissing him, but I never would have done. But I was just like, yeah, yeah. I would, all I wanted self validation. I mean, if you had me on a flipping therapist couch now, I could go for days. Um, I think it was just self validation. I just needed someone to be like, you look good. That's yeah.
Oh,
Um,
lovely. In your
I
Netflix
know.
film of your
Yeah.
life, who's
Yes, that would be
playing
my she's all
you?
that mum.
Who's
Oh,
playing
oh
you
God.
and who is playing the boy that approaches you?
Oh, Emma, that's the question. I'm gonna go. Who's playing me right now? Claire Danes is playing me.
But no, but Claire Danes looks like Claire Danes is our age now. If she's playing you, young you,
Oh,
Claire
me,
Danes
you.
can't play young you in the Netflix documentary film,
Oh,
can
good
she?
God, all right. I haven't got my time machine. Oh, now who's playing me?
I've got one. I've
Can I have
got one.
Selena Gomez? Can I
You
have Selena
can. Or I was going to
Gomez?
say Daisy Edgar Jones.
Oh, I could. Yes, all right. I'll go with Daisy Edgar
And the
Jones. All right, we'll go
boy's
with
going to
Daisy
be
Edgar
and the
Jones.
boy's going to be Paul Mescal. That's what it's going to be like.
No, well, no, not Paul Mescal. I
Oh,
need
but
something a bit more clean cut.
oh, sugar. Who's clean cut?
More like a
Who's
Tom Holland, maybe.
cl-
I don't know.
I'd watch
Will
that
that
film.
do?
I'd watch that film.
No, I'm taking it back. Timothy Chalamet.
I'd watch that film.
Okay, there we go. There it is. There it is. Daisy Edgar Jones and Timothy Chalamet starring in The Life of Kelly Taylor. The title needs work. I admit this, but I think Emma, we've done it.
Kelly Taylor and I, but from Timothy Chalamet's perspective, and he has always loved you.
Tinker Tailor, The Life of a Content Creator.
Again, I think we need to workshop this. But you know what? Casting's great.
Tinker Tailor, Soldier, and I don't know. I'm working. I don't know.
What
I
it
don't
was.
know. I've had too much coffee. I don't know what I'd call the film.
Do you know what?
We've only just
It's
come up
fine.
with
It's
it.
fine. We've got the film. We've got the acting. It's great. Right. If you were looking at a teenage flop, what do you regret?
I regret that I cared too much that people thought, if I'm honest with you. I know that's probably a deep answer, and I'm supposed to say something like, I regret the time I
No, no,
tried to dye
that's
my hair purple, which I
lots of
did,
people have said that.
actually. I regret caring too much what other people thought because I made some decisions that did not make me happy because I was so worried that I would be considered uncool. I went against who I was for a long time. Like the waistcoat is a very small but prime example of I wanted to wear that waistcoat so much. I thought it was lovely, but because I cared so much about what people thought, I didn't. And I went along too much with the crowd. That is one of my biggest regrets. I was definitely I was part of the crowd, and sometimes I was leading the crowd, but I was doing it in such a sheepy way I just wanted to be the mold of everybody. I think I also I'm annoyed at how much value I placed on being fancied by boys. I'm really annoyed at how much time I spent obsessing over boys and not doing my homework. I know that's a
Yeah.
really silly thing to say, but I look back and go, you know, just I remember I got like a C in my English because I wasn't concentrating. And I know why, because I was too busy trying to flirt with David Cooper rather than
He
doing my bloody work.
he did
What was I doing? I was
he
too obsessed with boys. It defined me too much.
but you still passed.
I still passed and I'm still doing what I did now, but I look back and just think, oh, you shouldn't have cared
No.
so much about what people think, because a lot of people are very stupid. And also a lot of people are still trying to work it out themselves. Like I was following people that I thought got it worked out, and so I should be doing what they were doing, when actually looking back and going, they haven't got a clue. They didn't know
Oh
what they were
God,
doing.
no,
I
these
didn't know what I
girls
was
had
doing. We were all
no
missing
clue.
out.
No, they had
Zero.
no, they just had a bit probably a little bit more confidence than us. Are you glad you grew up then, or do you wish you were growing up now?
I am so glad I grew up then. I know I'm a content creator, but good God, I am so glad social media did not exist back then. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about what I think social media is for kids, but I just know. I know. I'm so glad I had a cassette player that I would record the radio off, and didn't have any of the technology. I'm so glad I spent so much of my time playing outside and making up dances with my mates that weren't going on TikTok, just because we just wanted to make up dances and form bands and write songs and wear stupid clothes. And no, there's no photo evidence
Yeah,
of
no
this, or very little
evidence.
photo evidence of all of this. I think there was a freedom back then that kids nowadays don't have. There's a freedom to make mistakes and not have them recorded or thrown back in your face for years to come. I am so glad I don't have that. I felt a little bit freer just to do what I wanted to do, to an extent, even though I was a little bit of a sheep. But even so, I still did what I wanted to do. Yeah, thank God there's no social media. I look back and I'm very privileged. I had a lovely childhood. I really did. There were no real there was angst and drama. Of course there was angst and drama, but there was no real angst and drama. It was just all kid stuff,
Oh, that's
ultimately.
good. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Guys,
You're
be sure to go
welcome.
and check Kelly out on social media. As I said, I'll leave all of the links in the description below. We put up a poll on the Phonebox podcast Insta stories. Which poll? I might do a call to action and just say, could you send people can send in a program just with somebody hot in, and we'll just do a vote on what was the hottest program. Might be My So-Called Life, might be Saved by the Bell, might be Dawson's Creek, might be what we Superman, could be any of them. Just a hot program that we liked with people in that we fancied. Real hard hitting content.
But that's what we want, right? Give the
That's
people
what we
what they
want.
want.
Give the people
Give
on.
the
And
people what they want.
what we want is Jared Leto, but then not now because again,
Well, I mean, let's always make sure, in the poll it's quite clear. We're talking about back then. We're not
oh,
talking
not
about
now.
now and the cancelledness of it all,
Yeah, I
quite
can't think. Can
frankly.
you think of one heartthrob then that is still okay now?
Yes, Adam Brody. Adam Brody's allowed. Seth Cohen. Adam Brody is
And who?
perfectly
Oh my
allowed.
God, Adam Brody. And then who's the other one that's Penn Badgley from Gossip Girl? I know that was a bit after.
Still perfectly allowed.
Yeah,
Still
those two.
perfectly allowed. Those two are perfectly allowed. They're nice and they're lovely and they are allowed. But there's a lot of others that sadly are not now,
So
because we
God
know of
bless
things.
them.
We
Right,
know
Kelly,
things.
thanks so much. Have a lovely week, guys. I will see you next week for another episode of the Phonebox podcast. Don't forget to go and check out on YouTube if you want to watch and see our faces or just
And our
listen.
pants.
And our pants and me in what was it I say I was? Naked?
You
I've
were naked.
forgotten.
You were naked. So your pants are
you're,
out.
you're in a bikini. Right, guys, I will see you soon. Bye, Kelly. Thanks for coming on. Bye.